Yo, hey, what's going on? It's your man DU, it's your man DU with another episode of Talking Trash with my hat to the back, because I got it like that. Oh man, just a little bit of old school, right? Just a little bit of old school. Um, Matter of fact, let me do some checking here to make sure that everything is in effect, you know? Do a little checking before I get started. Really get started, really get into it. Yeah, really get into it. Get started, get on the way, right? Oh man, how's everybody doing today? How's the weather wherever you at? How you feeling wherever you at? How you feeling? Are you live? Okay. All right, we in the building. We in the building. We're in the building and we're live. It's your man DU. It's your man DU. And it's another episode of Talking Trash. You know what I like to do. You know how I feel, right? How I feel. I'm all about really having a good time, bringing a good vibe, and doing what I do, right? And what I do is talk about a little sports. What I do is try to give you a little gem. Um, and what I do is try to put you on to some good music as well, right? Uh, I always start with Mongo talk, right? Mongo talk. Um, Again, I'm gonna explain what Mongo talk is to me. Mongo, for those that don't know, I'm a retired sanitation worker. Um, and the stuff, we collect the garbage. I collect the garbage for a living. And the stuff that we put to the side for ourselves when we were picking up garbage, we called it Mongo. And it was little trinkets, it was jewels, that you would find, as you going along your route that individuals wind up using, long term or short term or whatever they did with it, you know. But yeah, we called it Mongo, and so this is Mongo talk for me, and my Mongo talk is talking about unsung heroes. Like my heroes, uh, people that were responsible for um, my upbringing into becoming a man, a gentleman, uh, a young man. Eventually turned into an older man, as you can tell by the beard. Like, hey, I'm growing my beard in, right? For those that are not used to seeing me with a beard, but yeah, um, there was three people in my lifetime that stood out for me as heroes. Um, my upbringing, and that was my mother, my grandmother, and my grandfather. These three, those three individuals, God rest their soul, um, were super important in my upbringing, in my development. Um, they taught me uh, how important it is to give positive reinforcement to a child. You give love and positive reinforcement to a child, that child can do anything. That child can rule the world. But somebody that's definitely my hero, like not downplaying my mother. My mother was fantastic. Not downplaying my grandmother. My grandmother was fantastic. She was a trailblazer. She was a genius. But my hero was my grandfather, William Jackson. That was my hero. He was he wasn't a silent man. He get his talk on. His bark matched his bite, vice versa. Believe me when I tell you his bark matched his bite. But he was a gentleman full of love. Love probably was his most endearing quality. But best believe he was no joke. Best believe. Now, mind you, my grandfather was a big man. There's definitely people that were bigger, but he wasn't a small man. And his presence let you know that he was about business. And as I was growing up, I never wanted to disappoint him. I never wanted to get on his bad side. Mind you, he had, when I was growing up, not one time did he ever whoop me, put his hands on me. Just his voice was enough to keep me in check. Just him talking to me was enough to keep me in check. Like I said, I never wanted to disappoint him because talking to him, he experienced a lot in life. Like when people, there's a whole bunch of, where I come from, there's a whole bunch of tough guys, right? And then there's a whole bunch of guys that want to be tough. And I was living with a real tough guy. I was living with a tough guy that took care of his family, that loved his family, that held me to a higher standard. And someone he would do anything for his family. He said two things that I can think of right now. That, matter of fact, that has stuck with me throughout my 57 years of life. He used to tell me, just before you do, don't. And it may sound real simple, but that's what he used to tell me all the time. Just before you do, don't. And how I took that was think before you act. Take a pause. Breathe. Watch what you're saying. Just before you do, don't. And it relates in today's world. Like what they tell people before they send out a text message or a tweet or anything on social media. Think before you hit that send button, right? So he taught me not to react, not to be super emotional with that one statement. William Jackson, that's my hero. And the other thing he said that has stuck with me throughout my life, and I'm going to assume within the black community, it's the popular saying, a hard head leads to a soft ass. A hard head is self-explanatory. A hard head leads to a soft ass. It's the same thing as saying you make your bed hard, you gotta lay in, right? So don't let your head beat too hard that you can't listen to someone else. Don't let your head beat too hard that you see if you're going down the wrong path that you can't make an exit, right? So rest in peace. Shout out to my hero. Um, just thinking of you today. You know, always think of him. William Jackson. In my family, he was known as Papa. My cousin's Uncle Billy, my hero. Yo, so yeah. So now let me get into some unsung heroes in sports. And I'm just talking about and I'm just gonna stick to basketball right now for some unsung heroes. Because when we think of the NBA, like we think of Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, um, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These are the superstars. Michael Jordan that pushed the NBA forward, that uh, that made the NBA popular. You know, um, he, you know, going into today's superstars like um, Steph Curry, LeBron James. These guys, uh, it's like who you automatically think about, right? It's who you automatically think about when you say, "Oh, these are the people that push the NBA forward." Dr. J. But these were the superstars. These was these gentlemen were the cream of the crop. They, like as far as the media was concerned. But I'm here to mention a few. Like these, I'm gonna give you a Tom Thibodeau rotation. Like Tom Thibodeau plays like 7, 8 players. I'm gonna give you 7 players to think about that were some unsung heroes that, in my opinion, helped move the NBA forward. That was the problem in the NBA. Now, again, I'm giving you a Tom Thibodeau rotation, which means I'm gonna give you about 7 to 8 players, probably, right? But I'm gonna give you my starting five, and I'm gonna put this starting five against some of the most popular starting five. And when I mention these players, for some of you, I'm gonna take you down memory lane, and you might go on YouTube and look them up, and probably watch some old games and be like, "Yeah, that guy was a problem." So now, the first player I'm gonna mention, they called him the Boston Strangler. The Boston Strangler. I believe he went to Southwest Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. Andrew Toney. Andrew Toney. Andrew Toney averaged 15 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds a game. He was a beast. Somebody that, if you talk to most ex NBA players, feared. Got a quote from Larry Bird saying he feared Andrew Toney more than he feared Michael Jordan. So just take that in for a minute. Pause. But yeah, Andrew Toney is going to be my first guard in my starting lineup. Unsung hero. Somebody that helped move the NBA forward. Somebody that's not in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony, first time ballot Hall of Famer. Just got the report. But yeah, Andrew Toney. The second one, Vinnie Johnson. Hold up. Vinnie Microwave Johnson. He played on the Sonics and some other team, but hold up. He was part of the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons. Microwave come off the bench, yeah, he's microwaving. He's getting hot instantly, putting up buckets. Uh, Vinnie Johnson averaged 12 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. His impact was tremendous. New York, Brownsville native. Another guy that helped push the NBA forward that's not in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. But fun fact, he's a tremendous businessman right now. Probably close to becoming a billionaire. That's my backcourt. Andrew Toney, Vinnie Johnson. Now here's a center that you probably don't even think about. But he went to the University of North Carolina. Back problems took him short in his career, but while he was on the court, he was a problem. Brad Daugherty, that played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, another center. He wasn't David Robinson. He wasn't Hakeem Olajuwon. He wasn't Patrick Ewing. He wasn't Shaquille O'Neal. He wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He wasn't Wilt Chamberlain. But he helped push this NBA forward. If he was healthy, I would predict that he would be in the NBA the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. His numbers, Brad Daugherty averaged 19, 9, and 3. 19, 9, and 3. Another unsung hero, somebody that I look at as one of the true first enforcers, played on the Portland Trailblazers, is going to be my power forward in my starting lineup of unsung heroes is Maurice Lucas. Maurice Lucas, one of the first real enforcers in the NBA. He averaged 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists over his career. Another gentleman who's not in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, who helped push the NBA forward. And this next gentleman that's going to be in my starting lineup as an unsung hero. He played for the Detroit Pistons, not the bad boy Pistons, but the Pistons that won a championship, I believe, in 04-05 season. Richard Hamilton out of UConn. Mid-range game impeccable. His mid-range game was impeccable. Richard Hamilton averaged 17, 3, and 3 over the course of his career. And he's another gentleman that's not in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And what I'm trying to say is how that team, that Detroit bad boy Piston team, how all those guys, I know Chauncey is in, right? Is Ben Wallace in? I don't think so. Richard Hamilton should be in. Richard Hamilton should be in. But Richard Hamilton would be my small forward. Now, remember, I said I'm giving you a Tom Thibodeau rotation. My guard coming off the bench, played for the Phoenix Suns, was a beast. Like, one of the first guards that I saw that reminded me, like, maybe this is where Iverson took some of his game from. And was a small guard. I believe he was 6'1", 6'2", but would dunk it on you in a minute, in a heartbeat. Kevin Johnson. Over the course of his career, he averaged 18 points, 3 rebounds, and 9 assists. Think about that. 18 and 9? Those are Hall of Fame numbers. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's a problem. And then, again, remember what I'm telling you. Tom Thibodeau rotation. Tom Chambers. He played for the Supersonics when they were in Seattle. But to me, his great years was with the Phoenix Suns. Tom Chambers, over the course of his career, averaged 18, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Those are my unsung heroes of the NBA. Guys that help move the NBA forward. Guys that, those superstars that we talk about, like Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, some of these guys feared these guys. These guys knew, hey, when I go up against these individuals, I'm having a tough night. A real tough night. So today is just like today's game. Like, we're going to talk about, well, the younger generation, they're going to talk about Steph Curry. They're going to talk about LeBron James. They're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard. They're going to talk about Paul George. And people are going to forget about people like Josh Hart, who's a problem, right? So I'm just saying, hey, don't forget the unsung heroes. The unsung heroes of the NBA. And and before I'm out, I'm always going to give you a song of the day. This is going to be on some hip-hop tip. Check out Above the Law. I'm listening to Above the Law. You want to get hype while you're working out, listen to Above the Law by Rick Ross, Meek Mill, and Tiana Taylor. Check it out on Spotify. Again, Above the Law, dope joint. Yo, this your man DU. This your man DU. Enjoy your Friday. And yo, this was Talking Trash. Yo, I'm out. Have a good one.